be, one group would be really on task while another group was, some were reading while some were like kind of staring up at the sky. So, finding a better way to manage that, especially since it was the first time doing it, definitely have to like iron out some kinks with that. But either way, that's what we ended up doing. And then afterwards, when we were done, we had to like connect. Okay, so there's a couple different things. In the book, they have you create like a timeline of the most important things. So after the kids were done with the activity that they did, we created a timeline of like important facts and things that happen throughout, let's say, the Americas, Europe, Asia, and Africa, and throughout time. So that's what they did right afterwards. They kind of shared, they talked with people in their group, and then they kind of created a timeline together of different facts and dates and stuff like that that they had found in their reading. After they were done with that, we then had the kids come back and we did a PowerPoint. Okay, so the PowerPoint is the whole group lesson. So they did a small group and did the jigsawing. And then after they did the jigsawing, we went into a whole group. And this is kind of where it kind of tests their knowledge, because it's not completely, it's broken down, but they still need to know what's going on to have a good understanding. Otherwise, I would have to explain it, which is okay. I'm okay with doing that, but I think that after giving them the opportunity to jigsaw and to like read the lesson and know something about it, for them to then come to the PowerPoint, kind of review what we talked about, was a really good way for them to kind of check, for me to check their understanding, and for them to kind of test their knowledge on what they read. And this is a really good visual too, because I incorporate not only the important information of each section, but I also incorporate videos. So basically what I'll do is I'll then break down, so the Americas will talk about the Inca Empire. I'll, start with reading, or I'll say, hey, Bobby, do you want to read? And Bobby will read. And as he's reading through, I will ask questions, or I will say, hey, what do you know about this subject? Or what did we just talk about before? How can you connect? A lot of this with social studies, because it can be dry and complex, especially with this series. I know I talked about in our discussion video that this series is well above their complexity level. So with that said, reading this the first time might not solidify their understanding at all, especially for an EL that has no connections or barely any connections with the social studies in general. So this is a good way to make connections after we've already had the building background and we did the jigsaw and we talked with our groups and did a think, pair, share. Now we're coming back to whole group and we're going to do kind of like an overview and check for the understanding. So then, not only are they getting these visuals of these pictures and the text on the board and us talking and having this dialogue, we're also getting the opportunity to see videos. Okay, so I always link Brain Pop, and Brain Pop was what I talked about in my technology videos. And what we do for it is, all kinds of stuff. I use it for everything, but for social studies, prior to me making these PowerPoints, I would look up the videos and then I would add them into the PowerPoint so that, hey, we're talking about Aztec, okay, so then I can go ahead and I can click on this link and then it will shoot over to Brain Pop. And typically it will have me log in, so I'll view the full screen. I'll say, we're gonna watch a video on the Aztecs. So I'll log in and I'll start the video. And I will let it play for a second. So while the video is playing, in the background, in the background I will be walking around, making sure everybody's paying attention. Most of the time when it comes to a Brain Pop video, they're focused anyway. and then I'll let the video play through. So when the video is done, then I will close out of the video, I'll click back onto the PowerPoint, and we'll continue. And typically it's about a lesson a day. So for this lesson, I just threw in the PowerPoint as another visual. It included the video then, and then they got, you know, a lot of different areas of and opportunities of understanding for this type of lesson. So some of the objectives for this lesson, which there's a lot, some of the content objectives were to, you know, identify the different empires, and without going over the vocabulary, going over the word empire, we might have not been able to have the discussion we did about the different empires, especially the Aztec and the Inca Empire, which was one of the videos we were just going to show. We talked about the Renaissance and the rebirth of this new era in time with trading. We also talked about exploration in Asia, and that's where I was talking about where the Turks closed off this the trail for the people to go through, and therefore they wanted to find a new route for trading. And within finding the new route for trading, they essentially, you know, caused this big boom in exploration. And if we didn't have exploration, we would have never had anybody come to the colonies in the first place, and then we wouldn't have had the revolution, and then we wouldn't have had you know, freedom in our own country eventually, you know, when you're getting all the way up to the Constitution. So it just took time. So with that said, after that, we had a speaking and more of a, what did I have it as? A speaking role that we incorporated as well. So I know that it was important for us to do language this week, and so what I did is I incorporated the speaking into our Think, Pair, Share. And basically what I wanted my kids to be able to do was to jigsaw, understand the information that they had learned, and then orally explain it to another person in the room. And so the objective for language was to orally explain to a partner who had read the same section actually, what they read. So after I had broken them into groups and we talked as a group and everybody, you know, talked together and we discussed, and then we had the PowerPoint and everything went through, at the way end to kind of assess what they understood, I said, okay, so who read about the Americas? And those that raised their hand, I said, okay, go over to the green group. And then who read about Europe? Okay, go over to the pink group. And so they all spread out again, but this time with the people that they had read the same section of. Okay, so before they were at the group where they had split sections and then talked about it, now they're meeting with someone that they read the same section with. Not with, but you know, that they both read the same section. And then they were supposed to share information that they found and kind of, you know, have this dialogue back and forth. And based on building background, the vocabulary, the jigsaw, the PowerPoint, having that Think, Pair, Share in the group originally, the dialogue that we had together, and then getting back with someone that, you know, really knew their section, was a lot of components that were able to essentially bring understanding for like this group of kids, especially my ELs, which there's so many different aspects of this lesson. There's so much information, it's so complex that providing multiple activities, whether it's small group, Think, Pair, Share, whole group instruction, visual, really helped my kids orally explain to another, as well as you know, cognitively understand what was going on with the information that was presented to them. And then we wrapped up the discussion, and that was pretty much it for the day. And that is how my lesson was for exploration in the 1400s. For my first lesson, it's the world of the 1400s. This is the first lesson, and that was pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed my discussion, and if you have any questions, let me know. And anything I can share that you saw in here, or that you have any questions about, like I said, I would be happy to let you know. Thanks.